America is evil? British SAS are harboring an unstoppable berserker monster? Neo-Nazis revive Hitler and it's revealed that he has dual personalities? One evil and one not unlike Jesus Christ? I am not making this up. Welcome to the wild world of Hiroshi Takashige's and Ryoji Minagawa's SPRIGGAN manga. Now, of course, I'm talking about SPRIGGAN because Netflix will be releasing a 6-episode series on 6/18. After seeing that trailer and thinking this looks great, I figured let me dive into the 1998 film since I've never seen it before. While I'm at it, I should read the manga because it looks cool. I mean, what's not to like about superpowered battlesuits, crystal skulls, and over-the-top shonen action? No, really, I think the trailer and the teaser trailers, minus the uninspired dub, look actually pretty sick. But you're right, before I get into the history, I should explain what exactly SPRIGGAN is about. In the waning years of the Cold War era, national governments and paramilitary forces are in a race to uncover the relics of an ancient civilization that once ruled the Earth. The technology holds seemingly miraculous powers, but in the wrong hands, this power could spell disaster. Only the Arkham Corporation's elite special operatives, the SPRIGGAN, have what it takes to stand up against an international rogues gallery of power-hungry cyborgs and gunmen who covet ultimate power. Brash and fearless Yu Amane, a teenage SPRIGGAN equipped with Arkham's strongest power armor, will do whatever it takes to keep the past forbidden legacy buried away. So, Indiana Jones with sci-fi battlesuits. Sounds awesome, right? We get super intense sci-fi hand-to-hand combat, along with a seemingly unlimited amount of artifacts from different real-life civilizations and lore, mind you. And in a touch of shonen tropes, and I must say it's a pretty great concept we got here. But I digress, let's get into this weird history of SPRIGGAN. Mind you, it's been difficult to find information, mostly because all we ever got was the 1998 film, which only covers a single 5-chapter arc of the story. So only half of a single tankobon volume of series that runs 11 volumes. Well, technically 12, as 2 additional stories were added that were previously unpublished. Let me touch on the original film real quick because I'm going to spend a lot of time on the manga. And I'll have a separate video out at some point in the near future covering and reviewing the film in more depth, so subscribe for that. The film follows the Armored Warrior storyline in which our protagonist Yu Amane first gains his battlesuit and trusty orichalcum combat knife in order to stop the evil American Colonel McDougal, a member of the US Machine Corps, a rogue organization of the Pentagon, who appears to be a child with the mind of an adult, who happens to also possess psychic abilities. McDougal attacks an Arkham excavation site where they have recently discovered Noah's Ark. While SPRIGGAN 98 is a decent summer popcorn action flick, that honestly still has some awesome animation thanks to Studio 4C. But that's really all it is, just a fun animated action spectacle. There isn't much depth or character development for our protagonist SPRIGGAN Yu, just know that he's the prototypical badass shonen MC. Yes, our muscle suit equipped hero is a teenager and also the #1 agent of the Arkham Japanese branch. As I mentioned, I'll have another video solely dedicated to reviewing this film. It's just like the manga, currently very difficult to find. It's not available to stream anywhere, and eBay has seldom copies of used DVDs in the US for a reasonable price since it's currently out of print. The SPRIGGAN manga was written by Hiroshi Takashige and illustrated by Ryoji Minagawa, first serialized in 1989 in Weekly Shonen Sunday, and later transferred to Shonen Sunday Zoken, now known as Shonen Sunday S, where it ran from August of 92 to February of 96. In America, SPRIGGAN was brought over as Striker, in the early to mid-90s as comics from Viz. I have found a few listings labeling the first issue as from 1992, but I don't have any hard copies in my possession to check the publication or printing dates to confirm that. This translation was heavily edited, more on this later, and the art was actually flipped to allow for left-to-right reading for the English reading audience. The US didn't see unflipped tankobon-sized manga volumes until Tokyo Pop brought over its 100% authentic manga line in 2002. Now, take the following paraphrased information with a grain of salt, as I have only been able to find it in the trivia section of the SPRIGGAN Films IMDb page. As I've mentioned, information has been hard to come by. SPRIGGAN was renamed to Striker simply because the name SPRIGGAN didn't sound cool. This release of Striker failed because Viz Manga only brought over 3 of 11 heavily edited volumes. Viz later attempted to sell these heavily edited translations together as a single anthology, but this time under the true SPRIGGAN name, but this once again failed. However, during this time, Viz got word from Studio 4C that they would be creating a SPRIGGAN animated film, and Studio 4C actually told Viz that they loved the Striker name, so much so that they would be using Striker for the international release of the film. So Viz, who just recently released the manga as SPRIGGAN, rushed to re-edit this anthology back to being called Striker, hoping for some nice cross-promoted sales from the film. But what do you know, Studio 4C changed their mind and released the film as SPRIGGAN and didn't bother to even tell Viz. Catch all that? I actually managed to track down all 3 volumes of SPRIGGAN. Volume 2 seems to be a bit of a rarity. That was the hardest one to find. Volume 1, The Armored Warrior, which includes 2 missions. Temple of Fire and The Armored Warrior, the basis for the 1998 film. If you notice you on the cover here wearing woodland camo, I don't see him portrayed as wearing camo in any panel or any other artwork that I've come across. So I wonder if this depiction was to make him look more appealing to American buyers, possibly? Volume 2, The Forest of No Return. Once again, 2 missions. Secret of the Berserker and The Forest of No Return. And finally, Volume 3, SPRIGGAN versus the Third Reich. You got it, 2 missions here, the Crystal Skull and the Holy Grail. I'll dive into this volume in greater detail in just a bit. Now, these are the only 3 volumes of the heavily edited version of SPRIGGAN that made their way over to the US before Viz pulled the plug. I did a lot of digging through old message boards and wikis to gather this limited amount of information that I bring to you. And the consensus as to why it was never fully translated and completed in the United States was it was very anti-American. I did hit a dead end with being able to confirm this, so if you happen to have worked for Viz in the 90s, please leave a comment. And while SPRIGGAN was heavily edited, there are plenty of remnants of the West being portrayed as bad guys in this release. The first few pages include CIA wimps attempting to kidnap a young Japanese professor, U fights military soldiers, and the whole Noah's Ark plotline includes the US as the main antagonist. But SPRIGGAN also includes other nations opposing UAmine and Arkham, the British SAS, KGB, neo-Nazis, basically any group that would be looking to gain power through the use of ancient artifacts. Interestingly enough, this was not the only English release of SPRIGGAN. The now defunct Changi Publishing released all 11 volumes of SPRIGGAN in English for the Singapore market. I searched and attempted to acquire copies of this release to no avail. If you've got a set you're looking to part with, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to put my hands on them and read through them. Luckily, I did manage to find scans of Volume 1 of this release. And it's interesting because it doesn't match up with Volume 1 of SPRIGGAN. Volume 1 of this English release of SPRIGGAN includes 3 missions. 1. First mission, a previously unpublished mission where you first receives his armor and also an insane, god-obsessed American antagonist. 2. The Shrine of Fire, which is the Temple of Fire from SPRIGGAN Volume 1 with a bit more of a mature translation. 3. The Legend of the Mask, another mission that didn't make it into SPRIGGAN. This one is about an evil Aztec mask that possesses its wearer. You takes on were-jaguars, and once again, you guessed it, a bad former US military agent for you to fight. I'm starting to see a theme here, but unfortunately, as I haven't been able to read the rest of these releases, I can't comment on how anti-American or anti-Western SPRIGGAN actually is. To me, it is what it is, right? Arkham is an agency that's not tied to any nations directly, and of course they know that nations look to become powerful by any means necessary. I'm still very curious about reading the manga, and if you are too, well, we're in luck. 7 Seas Entertainment will be releasing SPRIGGAN in its entirety in English in 4 deluxe omnibuses. Part 1 is set to release on August 16th, 2022. I'll put an Amazon link in my description that will help support my channel if you're interested in ordering them. 7 Seas Entertainment never responded to my email for more information, mostly asking if this will be an unedited translation, so thanks for that great customer service. I really wonder what else is included in this manga, as the SPRIGGAN release includes missions out of order, at least compared to Volume 1 of SPRIGGAN. As for what I've actually been able to read, all 3 volumes of SPRIGGAN and these 2 additional missions, SPRIGGAN actually seems like a pretty typical shonen story. We see this super strong teenager being sent around the world to procure these powerful ancient artifacts and prohibit them from falling into the wrong hands, i.e. powerful nations. UAmine beats up soldiers with far more experience because Arkham provides him with his power suit, which is impervious to blades and even bullets, and enhances his muscle ability by that of 30 times. UAmine is a super soldier and a force to be reckoned with. Now, each mission does seem to play out as its own standalone story. Yu isn't simply jumping from one mission to the next, he has some downtime in between. And during this downtime, Yu is back in high school, falling asleep in class, running track, and interacting with girls. Girls. The ladies. Girls seem to play a very important role in all of Yu's missions, as I've noticed that each one includes a different teen or woman that Yu interacts with, mostly saving them from danger. A genius teen scientist, a classmate who gets possessed by a mass, an opposing general. I'm a little concerned that this theme may get repetitive, especially if there's a girl or woman that needs rescuing from you in every single mission. I'll have to wait on those 4 deluxe editions to find out though. I guess this whole background of Yu being in high school and saving girls is all part of the shonen trope. UAmine could have very well been a 21-year-old full-time Arkham agent, but I guess then he's just like every other super soldier main character out there. I do wonder how they keep up with the ever-evolving shonen main character, though. Will UAmine start gaining some of these powerful artifacts' powers for himself? How far exactly does the sci-fi go in this one? Which is one of the reasons why I find Spriggan interesting. I love me some future tech, especially when it derives from the 80s and 90s, as I find it interesting to how they hypothesize what future tech would look like. But now let's get to the weirdest part of Spriggan that I have encountered. In the third volume of Stryker, appropriately named Stryker vs. the Third Reich, Amine fights neo-Nazis. These neo-Nazis are first able to secure the legendary Crystal Skull and work out that it can release extraordinary amounts of energy. Yada yada yada, you manage to get it from them. This is not the weird that we need to get into. This is only the beginning because this storyline gets wacky. These neo-Nazis have been cloning the Führer himself in an attempt to access a sealed cache in the mountains where Hitler stored ancient relics of the world that he collected while he was still alive. Included inside is a destructive weapon of the Indian god Vishnu. So of course, these neo-Nazis are looking to build up their power. What better way to control the world by using some of its most powerful ancient relics? Unfortunately, attempts to enter this cave have been unsuccessful by all, even with clones of Hitler, as it was Hitler himself who made a deal with the cave guardian spirit, so only the real Hitler can be admitted to access the stash. But what was that? Arkham just found the Holy Grail, you say? The magical cup that Jesus drank out of at the Last Supper, and the same one that Joseph of Arimathea used to collect Christ's blood when he was crucified. We all know that Jesus was revived 3 days later, and it's gotta be from the power of the Holy Grail, right? The neo-Nazis were successful in cloning Hitler from his DNA, but they do not remember anything. They are not quite the real thing because they don't actually have Hitler's soul inside of them. But rumor has it that Hitler poured his blood into the Grail before committing suicide, so his soul is most likely still inside the Grail itself. And he can be resurrected because if it worked for Jesus, it should work for Hitler. A Hitler clone drinks from the Grail and Hitler comes back. But he's got amnesia. Something is wrong. No problem, all the neo-Nazis seek Heil and poof, it all comes back to him. Insane, right? I mean, controversial, maybe. Hitler is evil and reviving him so he can become a punching bag for Amine is kind of fine, I guess. It works for Wolfenstein, right? But even so, this is still not the darkness I was hinting at. Let's keep going here. Due to an avalanche, the newly revived Hitler gets separated from the neo-Nazis and winds up running into an Arkham agent, who has no clue who this mustache man is. Yet, something is different about Hitler. He's becoming nice? The young Arkham agent even refers to him as that nice old man. And then the bomb is dropped. The neo-Nazi general reveals this bullshit. Hitler actually had dual personalities. One nicer side, the politician. The other, the tyrannical, war-raging side, the evil Hitler we all know. Those resurrected by the Grail see increased psychic powers. It's what made Jesus have the power of a god. The ability to heal people, and that's exactly what we see the good side of Hitler do. He uses these newly acquired powers to heal and save the young Arkham agent when she's injured. It goes on a bit from here, with Hitler struggling between his two personalities and eventually wielding Indra's lightning bolt, but because he is too powerful, he overloads the weapon with psychic energy and it self-destructs, killing him. But of course not before the good Hitler gets out one last line, informing us that he no longer feels haunted by his evil and will die with these artifacts. This mission just went for a really weird turn, making Spriggan read as a Hitler apologist story, I guess? I don't know what made Hiroshi Takashige want to give this spin on Hitler, giving him this positive side. I read a few very old forum posts with people talking shit about manga for this very reason. Some coming to the defense of Takashige a bit, saying that since Japan was a member of the Axis and didn't actively participate in the Holocaust, that they don't have the same view on Hitler and Nazis as the rest of the world does. I can't speak to this at all. All I can say, this Hitler arc is weird, dark, and kind of shitty. Does it ruin my thoughts and interest in Spriggan? I don't think so. I'm still gonna watch the Netflix anime. I am curious to see how the 7 Seas release handles this arc, especially since it's already been out there in English with Stryker and the Changyi release. I can almost guarantee that the Hitler Resurrection arc will not be included in the Spriggan Netflix series, though. I think it would just be way too controversial. Speaking of the Netflix series, though, after doing all this reading and research, I rewatched all 3 teaser trailers and the full-length trailer, looking close at the details of the artifacts, locations, people, and even some of the dialogue. In addition to the fact that we know that the series, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a season 1 of multiple seasons or not, but there'll be 6 45-minute long episodes, and I think I can pretty accurately predict what we will be seeing here, mission-wise. And don't worry, I'll leave the details vague to not spoil anything. First mission, the previously unreleased story showing how Yamane receives his armored muscle suit and combat knife, as I believe this is the bad guy from the manga shown here. Obviously, we're going to get the Noah's Ark mission, which is what the 1998 film covers. General McDougal, Fat Man and Little Boy, as well as French Spriggan Jean Jacquemond, Forest of No Return. I see some shots of you and trees, and I'll leave it at that. Secret of the Berserker. In the English trailer, you speaks the phrase, "If I'm not true to my word, I really am no better than a berserker." The Crystal Skull. A surprising one here, as this includes neo-Nazis. Bo Brantz makes an appearance in the trailer, as well as Oboro, the martial artist. The Temple/Shrine of Fire. In teaser number 2, we see you battling against the man who shoots fire from his hands. And that's 6. That's my prediction. Make sure you check out my review video for the Netflix series to see if I was correct.